I also may be the youngest person to have consistently taken VINIA every day or two for the last 4 years. A lot of my peers or friends my age are starting to develop wrinkles or crow's feet, and my face is not nearly aging as fast as some of theirs. I'm not trying to be rude by saying that, I'm just making an observation. So even though my chronological age is 30 at the time of recording this video, at the very least, some of the systems within my body may have biological ages that are younger. So what is the difference between VINIA Resveratrol, right here, and this generic brand of resveratrol? Well, this one sucks. Regular resveratrol mainly passes right through you and not worth the money to produce it because it's not properly absorbed by your body. Now, VINIA's Piceid Resveratrol holds the key to being a truly anti-aging supplement. Let me explain why. Now, VINIA and I have a history. I unboxed it for the very first time 4 years ago on this channel. I was absolutely clueless as to what I had in my hands. Little did I know I was holding not just a highly potent anti-inflammatory bottle of pills, but also a cancer killer, a regenerative form of medicine, and what's most likely the start of a revolution in longevity for human health. Now, resveratrol is a controversial supplement. Depending on who you listen to, health experts or influencers either swear that it works and promotes longevity, or it does nothing for longevity or even harms it. There are mainly two forms of resveratrol. There is cis resveratrol and trans resveratrol. For the purposes of this video, I will be referring to the more stable and available form of resveratrol, trans resveratrol. Trans resveratrol is the most common form of resveratrol on the market. The compound was made famous by the discovery of what's referred to as the French paradox in 1992. A discovery that concluded that red wine had a drastic impact on the cardiovascular systems of the people living within France, as they would have a diet rich in fats and had low instances of cardiovascular disease. Resveratrol is a phytochemical, which just means that it's a chemical found in plants, referred to as a still bean polyphenol. Still beans are known for their antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and anti-proliferative properties. We need oxygen to live, breathe, and carry out crucial processes within our bodies. But when compounds in our bodies oxidize, it can lead to health complications in excess. The same goes for inflammation. While it is necessary for normal bodily functions like healing, it tends to create problems for our health if it's not under control. Cell proliferation is the normal process of cells dividing within your body to repair, grow, or replace old cells. When cell proliferation gets out of control and divides endlessly is when tumors and cancers develop. All of the debate surrounding resveratrol's effectiveness stems back to what I and many others believe to be the bioavailability of that compound. Without a stable and consistent compound that's readily available to be absorbed by the body, results can be hard to reproduce and call into question the effectiveness of that compound. VINIA is an ingenious supplement made by the incredibly talented team at BioHarvest Sciences that I know solves the issue of resveratrol solubility and bioavailability based on my experiences with it. Wine isn't healthy because of the alcohol or the sugar. It's healthy because of the polyphenol compounds contained within the red wine from the plant. As the grapes sit in their juices with the seeds and the skins, the polyphenols leach out of the biomass and are then deposited within the wine. The resveratrol compound undergoes a natural process referred to as glycosylation, where a sugar molecule then binds to it, therefore increasing the solubility. It's referred to as Piceid Resveratrol. Piceid can be formed before and or after the fermentation of the wine, whether found naturally within the skins or through enzymatic activity by microorganisms contained within the juices. Piceid Resveratrol by itself is most likely not the sole cause for red wine's benefits. The cause could be a mix of all the naturally occurring compounds within the wine that ultimately creates a kind of synergistic effect between the different molecules acting within the human body. VINIA contains quercetin, catechins, tannins, anthocyanins, in addition to Piceid Resveratrol, with specifically the Piceid Resveratrol concentration being magnified by many orders when compared to naturally occurring grapes. A bottle of wine can contain anywhere from 0.2 to over 20 milligrams of resveratrol within it, depending on the type of grape, how the grapes that made the wine were grown, and where they were grown. A single VINIA capsule contains about 6 milligrams of Piceid Resveratrol, which the company claims to have a 82% solubility with 4.9 milligrams of the 6 milligrams absorbed. How is VINIA able to contain that much resveratrol within its tiny capsule? Well, that's where BioHarvest's manufacturing process revolutionizes the future of health products going forward. They effectively take plant cells and trick them into producing larger concentrations of phytochemicals by applying stressful conditions to the cells that they would otherwise experience out in nature. Resveratrol is typically produced in the skin of the red grape as a response to injury or something like a fungal infection. A lot of these amazing compounds in plants that provide such amazing health benefits for us are produced because they're meant to defend the plant from disease, pests, and external threats. BioHarvest produces these compounds in a controlled GMP certified lab environment within plastic bag bioreactors. The cells are suspended within a liquid nutrient broth and grow until they reach a desired amount of biomass and contain the desired concentrations of the targeted molecules. The biomass is then transported to an industrial-sized freeze dryer to remove almost all the water content contained within it, without impacting the phytochemical concentrations and quality all that much. A bioreactor is effectively a more complex fermenter, so the process of creating VINIA is similar to wine in that sense. The major differences are that it contains no alcohol, zero amounts of sugar, and amplified amounts of life-changing polyphenols contained within the cells, as the cells act like miniature factories. What most critics of resveratrol tend to get wrong is that they believe the resveratrol found in most supplements is the same as the most bioavailable form of resveratrol found in the wine. Most resveratrol is sourced from Japanese knotweed, as it's found in large quantities within the plant. However, it's not very bioavailable when extracted from that plant. According to some research papers, regular resveratrol's oral absorption in humans is about 75%, and is thought to occur mainly by transepithelial diffusion. Extensive metabolism in the intestine and liver results in an oral bioavailability that is considerably less than 1%, according to this one study. Because less than 1% of a capsule of regular resveratrol is bioavailable to the body due to its fast metabolism by liver and gut, the Piceid glucoside provides a more stable resveratrol compound, as plants and pathogens and even the human digestive tract possesses enzymes able to trigger polyphenols oxidation and subsequent inactivation. The glycosylation prevents enzymatic oxidation of resveratrol. Once at the small intestine or colon, it can be absorbed directly as the Piceid molecule or deglycosylate back into its free and more active trans-resveratrol form through mucosal enzymes and by gut microbiota, making the glycosylation of the resveratrol a more stable carrier of that compound, as the glucoside protects the most reactive sites from degradation and acts as a prodrug, increasing its targeting on the body. So when studies use the resveratrol compound to determine a result, they often use a high dosage to achieve it. Red wine is often mocked as not being able to achieve the same results contained within these studies, as the dosage of resveratrol is much higher than what's contained in the wine. However, the bioavailability of the resveratrol contained within the wine is much greater than that of traditional supplements, because of the glucoside attached to it. If you take a look at their website, VINIA.com, the company has 2 published viewable clinical trials that establish just how effective their product is. Within the study, a novel red grape cells complex, health effects and bioavailability of natural resveratrol, it reveals the polyphenol content, antioxidant properties, along with the solubility and bioavailability of BioHarvest Resveratrol against other forms. When a solubility test of VINIA's red grape cells were compared to two other sources of resveratrol, it states when the three resveratrol sources were dissolved in water, either acidified with a pH of 2, mimicking the stomach pH conditions, or at a pH of 7, the dissolution of the red grape cell resveratrol was more than 6-fold higher. 44% for red grape cell resveratrol versus 7% for the two other resveratrol sources. Polyphenol content of RGC is similar to agricultural red grapes except for the resveratrol content, which in some cases was higher by 2 orders of magnitude in RGC as compared with red grapes. Now this alludes to BioHarvest's capability of being able to elicit higher concentrations of phytochemicals within the plant cells. The paper continues with a 3-way crossover pharmacokinetic study on its bioavailability. 15 healthy male volunteers participated in the study. Subjects' age range was 28 to 55 years, a mean of 42.1 years, and body mass index range was 21.4 to 30 kilograms per meter square, mean of 25.8. All subjects were tested negative to drugs and alcohol with no clinically significant abnormalities in laboratory parameters and vital sign measurements at screening and admission. No adverse events were observed or reported throughout the study for both red grape cell and plant resveratrol. Mean trans resveratrol plasma concentration versus time curves for total resveratrol and free resveratrol are displayed in Figure 6. Free resveratrol concentrations after ingestion of the 50 mg dose were low, in many cases below the lower limit of quantitation, and therefore are not displayed. Red grape cells profile at both concentrations demonstrates 2 clear concentration peaks, the first at 1 hour and a second higher peak at 5 hours. Mean pharmacokinetic parameters of trans resveratrol are summarized in Table 4. Importantly, measurable quantities of resveratrol were detected as early as 20 minutes post-administration in all subjects in the red grape cell groups, except one in the red grape cell 150 mg group. Now, if I haven't lost you yet, the study showed VINIA's water solubility due to its presence within the bloodstream after 20 minutes. VINIA peaked twice within the bloodstream, and the study elaborates as to why a second peak occurs. The first peak may represent extensive glucuronidation and sulfation of resveratrol already in the enterocytes of the small intestines. The second peak occurs as a result of bile containing metabolites flowing from the liver to the intestines normally after food and may serve to prolong the pharmacological effect of certain substances and their metabolites. Plausibly, longer presence of RGC resveratrol in the digestive tract and circulation contributed to the observed higher second concentration peak. Importantly, concentration time curves of synthetic or yeast fermentation, source of resveratrol, as well as of plant-derived resveratrol, show a distinct single concentration peak. The study then points to 2 others that show other sources of resveratrol tend to have 1 peak within the bloodstream as they are quickly metabolized by the body. VINIA's resveratrol may undergo processes like glucuronidation and sulfation in order for the body to more easily secrete the chemical, but by doing so extends the life of the chemical's lifespan within the bloodstream and can act like a reservoir that can be tapped into by the body at a later point. Administration of RGC resveratrol resulted in a Tmax value of 4 hours, which is substantially longer than the Tmax of 0.5 to 1 hour, reported following the administration of pure trans resveratrol. Longer Tmax can be found following the administration of whole grape products, such as grape juice or grape extract. Nevertheless, due to limit of detection concerns, RGC in our experiment was administered in an amount aimed to achieve high level of resveratrol comparable with experiments done with pure trans resveratrol, showing a longer time frame that VINIA remains within the bloodstream when compared to other forms of resveratrol. When determining an IC50, or otherwise referred to as a half maximal inhibitory concentration effect of LDL oxidation induced by copper ion, VINIA was able to reach a 50% inhibitory effect of 12 micrograms when measured with T-bars, 8 milligrams when measured as a lipid peroxidase formation, showcasing a strong inhibitory effect on LDL oxidation in vitro, which just means out of the body. Contained within the second trial, daily consumption of red grape cell powder in a dietary dose improves cardiovascular parameters. A double-blind placebo-controlled randomized study. Flow-mediated dilation, which refers to the performance of the endothelial lining of your blood vessels, blood pressure, and lipid peroxidation were measured in this study. 50 adults with pre- and stage 1 hypertension received in randomized order the investigational product RGC, oral doses of 200 or 400 milligrams, or placebo once daily for 12 weeks. The results were as followed. Flow-mediated dilation was studied in 6 subjects from the 200 milligram arm, 8 subjects from the 400 milligram treatment arm, and 9 subjects from the placebo arm, a total of 23 subjects. The effect of treatment on flow-mediated dilation reached a level of significance. A post-hoc analysis revealed that the final flow-mediated values after 12 weeks of treatment increased in both the 200 milligram RGC group and the 400 milligram RGC arm group compared to baseline values. But this increase reached a level of significance only in the 400 milligram RGC group. When the rate of the improvement, as expressed in the number of subjects who demonstrated positive change in flow-mediated dilation, was analyzed, a statistically significant effect was shown. All 8 subjects, 100% from the 400 milligram treatment arm, underwent a positive relative change, compared with 2 out of 6 subjects, 33%, from the 200 milligram treatment arm, and 2 out of 9 subjects, 22.2%, in the placebo arm. The change in the 400 milligram treatment was significant compared to both the 200 and the placebo. There were no significant differences in lipid peroxide assay results over time in any of the groups. The values from the 2 RGC treatment groups were combined in order to study the effect of the study product. A significant difference was detected within combined RGC groups. Mean LDL oxidation T-bars value decreased from 586.9 plus or minus 48.8 nanomoles per milliliter at baseline to 556 plus or minus 34.9 nanomoles per milliliter after 12 weeks. So although lipid peroxidation was positively impacted by VINIA, a longer study could produce a more impactful set of results on the prevention of LDL oxidation in the bloodstream long term. What's of importance in this study is the impact of VINIA on flow-mediated dilation in the 400 milligram group. 100% of the group experienced a positive change after being treated every day for 12 weeks. Why this is such a big deal is what this next study using VINIA's red grape cell powder was able to discover. Contained within the study, red grape berry cultured cells reduced blood pressure in rats with metabolic-like syndrome. 2 very important findings were found that VINIA was capable of when exposed to cultured human umbilical vein endothelial cells. RGC exhibited a concentration-dependent inhibition of ET1 secretion over a wide range from 20 to 1400 micrograms per milliliter. The half maximal inhibitory concentration was found to be 100 micrograms per milliliter of RGC. The effect of RGC on eNOS expression and activity. Incubation of various concentrations of RGCs with HUVEX for 6 hours increased the level of eNOS in a concentration-dependent manner. I'm not even going to try pronouncing that word. Analysis of eNOS protein bands in the Western blot revealed a maximal increase of 1.5-fold of eNOS as compared to untreated cells. Endothelin-1, or ET1, is the most potent signaling hormone produced in the bloodstream to constrict blood vessels and regulate blood flow. The overexpression of it leads to hypertension, which VINIA decreases significantly. Nitric oxide is a short-lived gas that signals to the blood vessels to relax and allow for more blood flow within the body. So VINIA is documented as both relaxing them and reducing the constriction of blood vessels at the exact same time. The production of nitric oxide is why VINIA is such a revolutionary product. and why I consider myself lucky to have found it when I did. Nitric oxide was discovered by 3 independent pharmacologists, Robert F. Furchgott, Louis J. Ignarot, and Farid Murad. They were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1998 for their discovery of the molecule and its effects on the human body and cardiovascular health. Nitric oxide is produced by our bodies 24/7, and as we age, our body's ability to produce nitric oxide starts to decrease anywhere from between 25 to 30. Lifestyle factors like poor diet, inactivity, stress, smoking, and chronic inflammation can further accelerate the loss of production of nitric oxide. With every decade, it declines anywhere from 10 to 20%. Production can decline by up to 75% by age 60. What tends to happen is the endothelial nitric oxide synthase enzyme, or eNOS for short, tends to uncouple from its normal production of nitric oxide and instead produces superoxide, which is reactive and oxidizes within the body and creates oxidative stress within us. Why resveratrol is so controversial and why it's become one of the most researched naturally occurring compounds is due to a study released by the popular biologist and genetics professor at Harvard Medical School, Dr. David Sinclair in the Sinclair Lab, where they show that the overexpression of a gene called SIR2 within baker's yeast increases longevity quite significantly, where resveratrol could increase lifespan by up to 70%. Contained within humans is a similar set of genes that were named after the SIR2 gene called sirtuins. The closest gene to match SIR2 within us is referred to as SIRT1. However, the controversy in the results, as they weren't easily replicatable by other labs, if at all, the artificial fluorescent substrate that resveratrol was in combination with, referred to as fluoridylyse, to determine SIRT1 activation, was likely the activator of SIRT1 and not the resveratrol compound itself. It also activated SIRT1 and not the SIR2 gene in yeast. The research paper, Resveratrol and Endothelial Nitric Oxide, is a collection of research papers on the resveratrol compound and lays out a story of what's possible when it acts inside the human body. In the paper, it describes resveratrol as not just an antioxidant, but its more prominent role, once inside our bodies, is that it acts as a potent gene regulator. Contained within the paper is a diagram showing pathways that resveratrol can directly or indirectly activate based on prior research papers. The 4 prominent pathways are the estrogen receptor pathway, the AMPK pathway, the SIRT1 pathway, and the NRF2 pathway, all of them having upstream effects in the production, regulation, and maintenance of nitric oxide. The estrogen pathway is responsible for regulating gene expression and cell behavior across multiple systems like reproductive systems, our bone health, our brain health, our cardiovascular system, our metabolism, and our skin and tissues. It regulates vital functions like cell proliferation, cell differentiation, apoptosis, also referred to as programmed cell death, cell survival, and vasodilation. Resveratrol is classified as a phytoestrogen as it mimics estrogen by directly binding to estrogen receptors. It's so effective that it's labeled as a superagonist, as it takes a very small concentration to bind to receptors. It can also be an antagonist depending on the amount of the chemical present, as it can attach to the receptors and block estrogen's effects. The AMPK pathway, or what's commonly referred to as the master regulator of energy metabolism, is an indirect target of resveratrol as it triggers its activation through a tumor suppressor protein referred to as LKB1, or it can be triggered by reducing ATP levels, particularly in the mitochondria, by inhibiting ATP synthase directly. ATP is the universal energy currency contained within our cells, all around our bodies, and is vital for our metabolism. AMPK signaling increases energy uptake by promoting ATP production, as it inhibits ATP consumption. It increases and improves glucose metabolism, lipid metabolism, mitochondrial health, and autophagy, often referred to as cellular recycling. The next pathway can be directly impacted by AMPK or vice versa, the SIRT1 gene. The study goes on to acknowledge the controversy of the substrate-dependent reaction resveratrol has on SIRT1. The text explains that resveratrol influences the vital protein SIRT1 through a complex web of direct and indirect mechanisms, which account for inconsistent and varied results seen in scientific studies without going too far into the complexities of those studies. I'm sure the jury is still out to lunch on this one. Lastly, resveratrol indirectly activates the NRF2 pathway, also known as the master regulator of antioxidant detoxification and cell defense gene expression, and is triggered when stress is placed on the cells. It is used to bring the body back to a state of homeostasis. It can trigger hundreds of genes, encoding various endogenous antioxidant enzymes and detoxifying proteins produced in order to prevent oxidation and toxification of the body. The mechanism of action is unknown according to this paper. Resveratrol has a wide array of effects that are triggered within the body when present, by directly or indirectly triggering the mentioned or unmentioned pathways. It ends up creating many complex and intricate downstream mechanisms of action within the body. There are studies that show resveratrol and nitric oxide can lead to the death of cancerous cells through programmed cell death, with resveratrol being more effective against leukemic cancers than tumorous cancers, often showing that lower doses of resveratrol lead to longevity and higher doses lead to cell death, or that resveratrol and nitric oxide are antimicrobial agents that can help with the immune system's ability to fight pathogens. Studies show that nitric oxide could be a key molecule in regenerative medicine due to its ability to regulate and mobilize stem cells within our bodies, or that nitric oxide can stimulate the production of mitochondria within our cells, referred to as mitochondria biogenesis. As we age, the amount of mitochondria and their ability to function properly within our cells decreases over time, or that nitric oxide can trigger an enzyme within endothelial cells referred to as telomerase. Every time a cell divides, the telomeres on the ends of our chromosomes tend to shorten with every division, until the telomeres can no longer tolerate cell division and become senescent or die. Telomerase maintains telomere length as long as it's present. The thing about research papers or scientific findings is that you can almost find any paper to back up claims or even completely disprove them. It could depend on who funds the research or the biases that the researchers have. It can be hard to navigate through the literature and know what information is true, or what's true right now and can be disproven in the future. There are papers that even suggest that the sirtuin gene family do not promote longevity. There was also an investigation by the World Health Organization that the French paradox may even be a myth, as French physicians were underreporting heart disease mortality on death certificates. Red wine may not even be the sole contributor of the French paradox if it does exist. But here's what I know. What I do know is that VINIA is an incredibly effective way to lower blood pressure. My grandmother had such high blood pressure that it was only a matter of time until something bad happened to her. She was originally prescribed medication for it, but she was brave enough to try VINIA, and to this day she still takes it. Absolutely no problems with her blood pressure or blood flow. Her only side effect is that she's able to stay up until 2 a.m. some mornings to chat and hang out with my brother and I after we go to visit her and my grandfather for the weekend. I also know it's such a game changer in being able to treat the deadliest form of leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia, without chemotherapy or radiation. In the video I released with my grandfather, we discussed that he's taking 4 nutraceuticals to treat his cancer, when in actuality, the results produced in that video were when he was taking 3. I believe VINIA was the main nutraceutical in being able to treat his blood cancer, as I've already experienced how effective it is on its own with my grandmother, as I know it's capable of creating nitric oxide within the human body. I also believe it is slowly sending his cancer into remission. He has a skin condition referred to as leukemia purpura. It's a condition when purple, brown, or red spots manifest on the skin of someone with leukemia due to low platelet counts within the blood, the blood cells responsible for blood clotting. As time is going by, those platelets on his skin are lightening and disappearing. Apparently that's a sign that his cancer is going into remission. If you also take a look at his blood cell charts, they show a pattern of becoming less volatile as time passes. He's basically pen pals with his cancer doctor now, as he sees him every 3 months. That by itself, for me at least, proves that VINIA is a regenerative medicine. Originally, I arranged a Zoom call with my grandparents and I to talk to the Chief Medical Officer of BioHarvest Sciences, Dr. Brian Kornblatt, as I knew that resveratrol had an apoptosis effect on cancer cells, depending on the concentration. I wanted to find out a concentration of VINIA's resveratrol in order to induce apoptosis, but because there wasn't research published on VINIA's resveratrol for cancer, he couldn't give me a recommendation. He previously worked as a director at Nutramax Laboratories and was a key formulator in the development of another potent anti-cancer nutraceutical, Abmacol. Abmacol is quite possibly the most effective and consistent source of sulforaphane on the market. It is usually the source that clinical studies use when studying the sulforaphane compound on human health. He's a very kind and intelligent man. What he taught me was that cancer has a prominent genetic component to it, sure, but our environment plays an even larger role when it comes to the formation of cancer or metabolic disease within our bodies, as we are a walking, talking pool of countless chemical reactions that occur constantly at any given point in time, even when we die. Our inputs determine our outputs. If we end up ingesting carcinogens or put our bodies in situations that can lead to DNA damage, our bodies could develop cancers if our defenses aren't up to being able to fight them. Sulforaphane is the most potent natural phytochemical that induces the NRF2 pathway, which is vital in detoxifying the body. That's partly what Dr. Brian Kornblatt has spent so many of his years dedicating his life into researching and learning. What I've also learned is that when plants are stressed and create high amounts of phytochemicals that are intended to defend the plant, if we were to ingest those plants with those high concentrations, they tend to have a type of stressful impact on our internal systems. Those systems then act accordingly and initiate stress responses that can have incredibly beneficial health effects for us as they work to restore balance within our bodies. Now, VINIA, I believe, will have many research papers on it in the future, whether done by BioHarvest or by others. It will be the most stable and reliable source of resveratrol and be used as a healthy substitute for red wine. The effect it has had on me is something I'm grateful for and consider myself lucky to have experienced. It helped my mental health at a time when I was dealing and coping with a permanent health condition. I also do think it helped to heal the condition more than what was expected. I've also barely been sick since I started taking it close to 4 years ago now. And I used to get sick a lot. When I do get sick now, the worst of it doesn't usually last more than a few days. I also may be the youngest person to have consistently taken VINIA every day or two for the last 4 years. There was a time I had to afford a 2-bedroom apartment on my own and I couldn't buy VINIA. So for maybe half a year I wasn't taking it. But other than that, VINIA is the only nutraceutical or pill I consistently take. I started taking it when I was 25, around the time that someone's nitric oxide production starts to decline. And I don't think my nitric oxide production has uncoupled or my body is making less than it used to. In fact, a lot of my peers or friends my age are starting to develop wrinkles or crow's feet. And my face is not nearly aging as fast as some of theirs. I'm not trying to be rude by saying that, I'm just making an observation. So even though my chronological age is 30 at the time of recording this video, at the very least, some of the systems within my body may have biological ages that are younger, like for example my cardiovascular system. So even if resveratrol doesn't trigger the sirtuin gene family, and those genes are really behind longevity, I do believe VINIA is anti-aging in the sense that it's able to maintain or increase nitric oxide levels within the body, and even trigger other mechanisms in maintaining homeostasis within us. When our blood vessels are able to operate at their full potential and deliver nutrients and blood throughout the entire body without negative health effects is reason enough to believe that VINIA is anti-aging. And I don't think I'm being controversial in saying that. Now, at the start of this video, it mentions paid advertisement. And I have to put that at the start of the video because BioHarvest was nice enough to send me a bag of their 2x formula chews and their newly launched hydration blood flow product. I offered to pay for the products, but they sent it to me free of charge and without any stipulation anyway. as I want to clarify that my views and opinions are my own, not BioHarvest Sciences. Now, I just narrowly made it to being able to try the hydration product before launch. And I believe I might be the first person in Canada to receive this, which, if that's true, it's an honor because this is actually my favorite product from them so far. My morning ritual is typically one VINIA pill and a half a pack of liquid IV. I usually only do half a packet because it's too damn sweet and I need a lot of water to dilute down the full pack to make it enjoyable. They did such a fantastic job formulating this product that I get even better results from this than I do from the combination of VINIA and liquid IV. And trust me when I say these taste so much better. And I'm not just biased when I say that. Electrolytes and water do a better job of waking you up in the morning than coffee does, as the system that readily accepts caffeine isn't as active first thing in the morning, whereas the entire body is a complex biological electrical system. The sooner you get salts and water into the body after losing fluids as you sleep, like through sweating or breathing, the better the electrical circuits in your body operate first thing. Water by itself isn't conductive, it's what's in the water that influences its conductivity. And then I asked for the chews because in my mind these three, which is the hydration, the chews, and the pills, they make up the trifecta of the portfolio so far. I've tried these and they're amazing for how much energy I get from them. I can take one of these in the morning and stay awake for 24 hours if I wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it, but it can be done. These are also great before a workout too. Usually I tend to feel drained from an intense workout midway, but with these the energy remains constant and I'm able to get through the workout without a lapse in energy. My grandfather also takes 2 VINIA per day and he swears by how effective it is for him in his cancer treatment. If there was a dose-dependent version of VINIA for the treatment of cancer, I believe it would be the 2x formula. Just recently, both my mother and my father developed cancers. My mom has another type of blood cancer called Hodgkin's lymphoma, and my father has a cancerous tumor in his bladder. And I can rest easy knowing that VINIA and its product line can likely help to treat their cancers. I just recently gave my father some of the nutraceuticals that my grandfather is taking that contributed to his success. And these chews I'm actually going to give to my mother as she's just finishing up her cancer treatment now. By giving these to her, I believe will keep the cancer from coming back. Now with that being said, this video shouldn't be considered as health advice or even investment advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, and I'm just showing the literature out there that was published by people more competent than I am when it comes to biology and the resveratrol compound. Just like with anything, too much of a good thing can be bad for your health. Just like how you can drink too much water and drown yourself. Too much nitric oxide or resveratrol can be toxic. Resveratrol can also inhibit platelet aggregation and prevent blood from clotting. Estrogen-dependent cancers like breast cancer could even be fueled by resveratrol intake because of the compound's ability to mimic estrogen within the body. Always consult a doctor or a physician on whether consuming resveratrol is right for you. I started out as a shareholder in this company and will still remain a shareholder. I know my financial interests will call videos like this into question, and that's fine. I've been called a snake oil salesman by promoting VINIA in the past, and I'm okay to continue to be called that, or even worse, because at the end of the day, this company and products like VINIA I view as vital for the world going forward. I am a shareholder, but what makes me an investor is the time I put into sharing with you guys and the world just how revolutionary this company and its products will be for us in the future. Now, speaking as a stakeholder of this product, VINIA will do so much good for people's health. I can't even tell you how many people I know with health complications like hypertension, diabetes, or cancer. Living in our modern world increases our exposure to large amounts of chemicals, microplastics, antimicrobial resistance, ultra-processed foods, and even electromagnetic radiation. It exposes us to more potential health consequences and negative outcomes. Our exposure rates to these substances and factors continue to grow, while our means to fight back are stagnant or are decreasing. With our aging populations rising and birth rates plummeting, we need more products like this one in order to keep people healthy enough to be productive in our economies. And we need to keep them out of our healthcare systems so they do not collapse. They're overloaded as it is right now. What I'm experiencing with my family is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. I want people to experience their lives outside of the hospital and not in it. Aging is often viewed as the main disease that leads to all other diseases. With a supplement like VINIA, I believe we'll be able to combat the disease of all diseases. Speaking as a shareholder, the world is dying for ways to look, feel, and maintain their youth. Celebrities go through these expensive surgeries to look younger than they actually are, and are pushing this into the mainstream and promoting it to their audiences. Would a product like VINIA, a product that could truly be anti-aging, is pushed as the solution to looking and maintaining youthfulness instead of taking on these life-altering and potentially dangerous surgeries, where overall health is pushed in the search for longevity and not cosmetic band-aids? The world looks bleak from all the headlines going around, but when I find a company like BioHarvest, it gives me hope for the future. And one more lesson I learned from Dr. Brian Kornblatt. Food is medicine. What you put in your body determines how you live day to day. It really is that simple. VINIA will be a regular addition to my diet, and I plan to take it until the day I die. Hopefully that's when I'm 150. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like it. Comment down below your experiences with VINIA. Share this video with anyone you think would like it, and I'll see you in the next one.